Shalom, this is your host, Pastor Enoch Phiri. Welcome to The Journey, a program where we profile prominent members of our society who have gone through various phases and ultimately they make it in life. And today in the studio, I'm joined by Honorable Russel Mcgregor. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, Pastor.
It was beautiful having you last week. And you just went with us through your life story from childhood until when you were around 20 years old. Last week you said that around 2021 you joined the ANC and you were involved in politics. This time around, how was your consciousness of spirituality, or where were you with God this time around?
In my 20s, I was still very questioning of the church and of religion. Not just of Christianity, but all forms of religion. I was highly politicized at the time. I was influenced by the politics of the South African Communist Party. And I was no longer involved directly with the church. Although I think the values that I had grown up with, the values of respect, of love, of kindness, of honesty, those values stayed with me. So I was no longer active within any form of religion, as it were. Much later on in life, I started, after I got married into the Anglican Church, and also then I worked for an organization that was linked to the Western Province Council of Churches. But in my 20s, I had started University of the Western Cape in 1984. I then became the General Secretary of the Student Representative Council in my first year. The following year, we had these massive boycotts. It already started in 1984, and we started organizing students in the broader Western Cape. And I was coordinating the structure that we formed to coordinate all the schools and all tertiary institutions in the Western Cape that were involved in boycotting. I was in prison in 1985 while I was in my second year studying social work. I was then in prison at Paulsmoor under Section 29 of the Internal Security Act, which could keep you indefinitely in solitary confinement.
Without trial?
Without trial, and without seeing anybody. 23 hours of daylight, 23 hours alone in the cell, 24 hours of daylight. 1 hour during the day I had to shower and had exercise with the prison warden. And I only saw the person who had brought me food and the person who, from the security branch, who came to interrogate. I was there for a few months. After release, December 1985, I got married. And about May of the following year, I was detained again in 1986. And then I stayed up until the end of 1987. So I was in prison for close to 2 years. I was then at Victor Verster prison. After being released from Victor Verster at the end of 1987, I joined the trade union movement, near Hawa at the time. I started organizing the first structures in the Western Cape. Apartheid was still very, very much alive.
I can imagine.
And oppression was still very much the order of the day. And it was difficult to organize within the health sector at the time. 1988, I'd worked briefly for Churches Urban Planning Commission that was affiliated to the Western Province Council of Churches.
Okay. You see, Honorable, I wanted to hold your thought there. I really want to understand the situation here. What is it because the church was not relevant at that time? That's why you drifted away from it, because I think we as a result of this program, we'll be able to also scrutinize the current condition of the church. If the church, the modern day church, is relevant to the social needs of the people, because I think history teaches us to look back and see if our current political landscape is being influenced by the church. If the church is not influencing the political landscape, then there's a likelihood that we're going to lose this generation. Like, in your own view, your own understanding, the reason why you drifted away from the church, is it because the church was not relevant to you?
Yeah. During my high school period and soon after high school, I had experienced the church not being relevant at the time.
Okay, sure.
In my late 20s, after the formation of the UDF, United Democratic Front, which I was also active member of, the church, as well as other organized forms of religion, started becoming to play a much more relevant role in society, or playing a role that I think was important and still is important. I then started working a lot more with religious organizations. Hence, I'd joined Churches Urban Planning Commission in 1988. That was affiliated to the Western Province Council of Churches. I then had worked with all the mainline churches in the main. So the church played then a much more active role in supporting the struggle against apartheid and supporting the struggles of poor, ordinary people. So the talk about a God being there for the downtrodden, the oppressed, etc. In my 20s, I didn't see that. Early on, I didn't see that. But in my late 20s, the formation of the UDF, I started seeing the church and other religious bodies beginning to take on that role much more seriously.
Beautiful.
After prison, I joined the trade union movement, COSATU, in particular South African Municipal Workers Union. And then we went to 1994, and I was very fortunate and honored to have been elected by the ANC and COSATU to represent our people in the first democratic parliament.
Beautiful. That was beautiful. That was beautiful.
It was an honor for me.
Yeah.
I served in the Western Cape Provincial Legislature from 1994 to 1999, a full 5-year term. We made many mistakes. We were new, and I in particular knew nothing about Parliament and how government in Parliament works.
I can imagine. You are coming from the bush.
Yes. I mean, we had to write our own speeches then. We had no researchers and all the support that parliamentarians have today. But nevertheless, I did not go back after 5 years. I then moved to Gauteng and came to work for the Gauteng provincial government.
That's where you are currently?
No, I'd worked for Department of Agriculture, and I was managing food security for the province of Gauteng, helping communities establish food gardens, community food gardens. So that was a big task that I had. After 4 years, I'd left, and I joined the Department of Local Government, and I'm working with community development workers.
Beautiful, beautiful. I will need you to hold that thought, Honorable. You know, I'm so much inspired by your story, you know, from your childhood to the point where you are. What this means is that it doesn't matter how you start your journey. What matters is the decisions you make and how you end that journey. We're going to take a music break, and when we come back, more about the journey of Honorable Russel. Stay tuned. Welcome back. I'm in conversation with such an inspiring man, a man that God raised from childhood, and God allowed him to go through various phases. And currently, he is serving in a provincial government of Gauteng. And tell me, sir, now when you look back where God has picked you from the time when you were a toddler in Grassy Park, you went through imprisonment, and here you are as a leader of the people in the provincial government. How, when you reflect at the past, how's your feeling?
Yeah, how's my feeling?
Yeah.
I'm, to be very honest, Pastor, for the past short while, I have just been allowing things to flow through me and to happen. I'm actually at the point where I finally decided to leave government completely.
Okay.
So I will be taking early retirement as of from the end of March this year.
Okay.
And this has been a decision that I've been mulling over for a little while, and things have been happening in my life in a way that I have not planned or even envisaged that things would be happening in this way to me. I've been going a lot more deeper with myself for a number of years now. And my relationship with God and with spirituality has become a lot more important. And I feel that even the decision to leave working full-time in government, that there's a plan for me.
Wow.
First time I'm saying this publicly, I do not know what the plan is. I actually honestly do not know what I will be doing as from the 1st of April of this year.
Okay. Yeah.
What I do, however, know is that I will be involved somehow with youth development.
Okay, beautiful.
And with helping to share my life experience and knowledge with especially our young people. And coming here today was never in my wildest imagination. I've never thought that I would be speaking about my life like this one day in a public way. But being here has just happened.
Beautiful, beautiful.
So what I'm actually saying, Pastor, is that I've been allowing myself to become more silent and try and connect a lot to what is deep within me. And by trying to connect with what is deep within me, that somehow is guiding me. And I feel that, and I know that I will continue to give in to what that is guiding me. Whether it is God, who has a plan, and what that plan is, I don't know. But I've stopped being stubborn. I'm open to accept what comes and what role I have to play. But I know it will be continuing to help to ensure that people in our country and elsewhere in Africa and maybe beyond do see justice, do have the type of life that I and many, many others have sacrificed for. And I would continue to contribute to make that possible, but not in the same way that I have been doing the past decade or beyond. I do not know what God's plan is for me, but I'm open.
Absolutely. Certainly, the Bible says the steps of a righteous man are ordered by God. You know, when I look at your story, where you come from, losing your father at the age of 15, you know, I think it should have been, rather it was very confusing and discouraging as a young man to be raised in this world without a father. But God kept you. God guided you until you got to be where you are. And I strongly believe that He has special plans for your life. He's taking you to dimensions, to places where you have an opportunity of plowing back as an individual without speaking for government, but speaking your heart and helping the communities based on what God has deposited in your spirit over the years. I'm very much certain that God has got special plans for your life. Now, before we close, Honorable, what are your words of encouragement to a young man or a young woman who is growing up in disadvantaged communities, because remember, still today in South Africa, there are people who live in areas which service delivery is not that effective, and they don't get things compared to people in urban areas, maybe people in rural areas. What is your message to somebody out there who is 12 years old, 11 years old, with poor facilities, and yet they believe God to become something great in life someday? What is your message to them?
I think firstly, young people need to realize that the life that they are given, they are responsible for themselves. I believe that young people should take control of their lives. Young people should always strive to be the best that they can. And as they develop, they must not forget where they come from.
Absolutely.
I see many, many people today, in the past few decades that I've worked in a range of different areas, I've seen our young people get opportunities, and it changes who they are. It changes how they react and respond to people. They forget about the conditions that they grew up in and having to plow back.
Wow.
And I believe that young people must remain firm in the belief that they are in control of their own lives. They need to take responsibility and do not wait for others to hand things to them. Take control. Do not accept things as they are and believe that this is what their life is supposed to be. Remain true to who you truly, honestly are. Be honest in your dealings with people. Be upfront. Do not be scared to speak your mind and to stand up for what is right and what is just. I believe that our young people, when I grew up, yes, I did not have a father. Yes, maybe there was no role model, male role model in my life. My involvement in politics obviously did give me some form of identity. Today, many young people don't necessarily have something to identify with. But I believe if they just look around where they live, who they interact with, they will see that there is a need to make a difference.
Absolutely.
And not everybody will be political leaders. Not everybody will be in government. But we need individuals and young people with a value system and with principles, I think, that I learned growing up in the church.
Absolutely.
Of love, of kindness, of honesty, of caring, of giving back.
Because it's very much important to give back. And I want to say thank you very much, sir, for gracing our studios. And we thank God for your wisdom. And I believe that our viewers have been impacted. And may the good Lord bless you, and may He bless you more when you leave government and pursue other opportunities in life. Thank you very much to our viewers for watching our program. Remember, a journey of many miles begins with one step. God bless you till we meet next week.